Call to order our work session. Roll call.
Mayor Wilson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Present.
Councilmember Biggs.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Here.
Councilmember Nesser.
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Okay. Presentation and discussion of streetlight improvements. Emil?
Boy, you just love coming here, don't you?
He's going to see, we'll
They
see
haven't
a
seen
lot
me
of
for
him.
such a long
I
time.
know.
Well,
The slid, huh?
good evening, Mayor Wilson, members of the council, Emil Schmidt, city engineer. It has been many years since the city has formed a streetlight improvement district, even before I started working for the city almost 13 years ago. Tomorrow evening, I will be here at the regular meeting presenting for consideration 2 new streetlight improvement districts here in the city. So we thought it might be a good idea or beneficial for everyone for me to review SLIDs. That's kind of the acronym for Streetlight Improvement Districts. Kind of what they are, what their purpose is, and how they work. So I have a little SLID show.
I knew you were going to just slide right in on that.
Yeah. To shed a little light on the subject. Yeah. I know. I'm an engineer. That means I'm naturally funny. So what is a streetlight improvement district? A SLID is created by a municipality under the provisions of Arizona Revised Statutes Title 48, which is the section for special taxing districts. And it provides a means to fund the purchasing of the electricity for lighting public streets. So it's kind of like a mini community facilities district or a mini CFD. A SLID is a development partnership between a developer and the city, and it's a very common practice throughout the valley in which developers of a defined area, so for example a subdivision, they agree to pay for the energy costs for that subdivision's streetlights through a property tax. Now, the energy expenses of the SLID are paid by the levy and the collection of taxes based on the number of properties within the district boundary. And per the revised statute Title 48, the only expense that we can recoup in a streetlight improvement district is the energy cost. We can't recoup anything else like the installation or the cost of the materials and things like that. So how is a SLID formed? So in the past, during the development of a project, the developer would submit a signed unanimous petition to the city. And the petition is a formal request to the mayor and council to consider the creation of the streetlight district for the area. And it is a unanimous petition in the fact that at the point in time during development, it's typically just the developer that owns the entire project, not multiple owners of land. And as part of the process, we have 3 resolutions that will be presented to you as part of this process. And this is what was done 14, 15 years ago. And recently, the city attorney, Joel Stern, updated those resolutions to make sure it reflected correct and current codes and things of that nature. So we have those, and there's 3 of them. And the first one I have highlighted in yellow because that's the resolution that I will be presenting to you tomorrow evening. And that is for the intent to form a district. After approval of the resolution for intent to form, in subsequent council meetings, I will be coming back, or staff will be coming back, for 2 more resolutions. The second one is to order the installation of the streetlights. So essentially an installation resolution ordering the city or staff to go ahead and allow this to occur. And then we come back with a final resolution, which is a budget resolution, which kind of spells out, okay, this is what the cost will be, or an estimated annual cost based on the number of lights and power usage and the number of homes within the district boundary. So we have an idea with the budget resolution what each property would be assessed during that year. And after the approval of the budget resolution, then we present the signed and executed resolutions to the Arizona Department of Revenue and to the Pinal County Treasurer's Office. And between the two of them, they actually set up the mechanism whereby the Pinal County will start assessing the tax on those properties. So that's kind of a high-level description, basically, of how SLIDs work. So who actually installs the streetlights? Well, those are installed by the developer as part of the development process. They are typically required to install off-site improvements. And when I say off-site, I mean those that are in the public right-of-way, curb gutter, streetlights, storm drains, things of that nature. And the streetlights is part of that. So the developer pays for, installs it, and then as part of the off-site improvements, turns those over to the city. And then who owns and maintains the lights? We do. So once we receive those street lights at the end of the construction of the project, they're in the city system. We own them, we maintain them, we repair them, we replace fixtures or burnt out light bulbs, things of that nature. If they get knocked down in an accident or something, we will replace it. It doesn't go back to the developer or anything like that to take care of those costs. So all we have then at that point in time is this streetlight district to generate the funds to pay for the energy of those costs. So that's basically a streetlight district in a nutshell. I know it's some real general information. When I come back for the other two resolutions, I will be providing more detail on the installation side of things and the budget side of things. And that's it. I just had the one slide.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, in the end, the city pays for all of the lighting and that. Does the city have any input or say into the design or type of street light, or whether it's for the dark skies lights or just the regular SRP-looking street lights, or how does that work?
Mayor, Councilmember Evans, we have in our engineering standards set requirements for streetlights on different types of streets. We have
Not
three.
guidelines.
No, standards.
Okay.
Yes, standards. And we have three different heights, three different wattages, if you will, or lumens, the amount of light that is cast down. And from residential collector streets to arterial streets, and the brightest lights we have would be those traffic lights that sit on top of traffic signal poles. But those are designed per city standards, and right now we follow the City of Mesa standards, and those requirements are supposed to be called out on the improvement plans, which come through us for review, and we make sure that they're spelled out correctly, and when our inspector goes out, he makes sure that they install the correct lights.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have three questions.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. The lighting that'll be installed will be, as you said, per city standard.
Correct.
Robert has initiated dark skies that hasn't gone anywhere yet. But if we do, will these meet that, or will then these people have to go back and change these lights because they don't meet dark skies? And is there any way to say, do that now before they go to the expense of installing lights that wouldn't pass under dark skies ordinance?
That's a good question. I believe there's, I don't know, and I might be misspeaking this in terms of what our development services department may require. I know the director, Larry Kirch, is a proponent for dark skies. It's I don't think it is spelled out specifically or directly in our engineering standards. I know with the dark sky, parts of those requirements include flat glass pieces underneath instead of the old bulbs. But I also know that part of the dark sky ordinance, from what I've read, includes a light that may bounce or reflect off the ground and go back up into the sky. It's a whole there's a lot of information, a lot of things to cover in that. So if we do work out an ordinance that is eventually put into place, then that would become part of our requirements. Now, going back retroactively, if the developer installs lights per our current standards, we wouldn't go back and say, well, we just changed our standards. We're now including this, so therefore, please go back and change the lights. We wouldn't do that. We would probably initiate some type of a program through Public Works where we would, over time, replace those, like we do now with whenever our high-pressure sodium lights go out, we replace them with an LED fixture.
We might want to just mention it to them, possibly up front.
Larry and his team will make sure that they would meet dark sky ordinance, so I'm not, yeah.
Okay, my second question is, okay, I don't know anything about SLID. I see that there's 2 separate developments tomorrow on this.
Correct.
Why, do you have to go get this for each and every development that's going to happen individually? You can't just do it? I mean, why are these being done, but I don't remember of this being done in the past for like Lennar and stuff. Why do these people have to do this and others haven't? Or what am I missing?
The big difference is public lights versus private lights. So, for example, the 2 subdivisions that I'll be bringing tomorrow evening, they're both with public streets. One is the Lennar's Homes subdivision, Goldview. The other one is Coyote Crossing at TP in Idaho. So both of those have public streets, and the street lights within the public streets inside of the subdivision is what's included in the district. The street lights that might be on the outside streets, the perimeter streets, are not included because those lights are beneficial to the public at large, all the citizens, whereas the interior street lights, pretty much benefit the residents and their visitors. So we do not create a streetlight improvement district that includes those perimeter public streets. So in the past few years, we've had some subdivisions that came through, like Stagecoach Trails or Belagave or some others. Those all had private interior streets, so we would not create a SLID for those.
Okay. And then, that might answer my third question, but who pays for this? Just the homeowners in that district, the people who buy those homes? It's not future homes, and it's not the existing homeowners paying the tax, or, property tax. It's just these in the development.
That's correct. So those properties that are identified as being included in the district, those would be the ones that receive the tax. So, for example, in the Goldview subdivision, I believe it's 178 lots or something like that. So it would be 178 lots that would be sharing the cost of, I believe, about 30 lights on the interior streets.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just expound on that a little bit. I'm sure you looked at the ordinance. I'm sure you read every word, and you probably recognize Title 48. Well, that's the same title that governs community facilities districts. This is kind of like a mini community facilities district, where the people who are benefiting from the service are paying for that service. The reason you're doing it now is because if you wait and you let the developer go and sell lots, there is a way to do it, by the way. There is a way that you would have to have an election on all those people who would buy houses. And there is a way to do it, but I would not recommend doing it that way. You have to post a notice every 300 feet, and then you have to get over 50% of the property owners to say yes. Good luck.
Yeah.
Who's going to vote to increase their taxes? Not too many people will do that. That's why you get it now when there's one property owner, and that's Lennar, and they're going to start selling lots. Do you know when?
In talking to them, I believe they'll be closing on some homes here in about the next 4 or 5 weeks. And they have a number of them under construction that they're...
So in talking to the treasurer, I'm sorry, may I inquire with the witness?
Yes.
Okay. Did you talk to the treasurer to tell him that we're probably going to do this?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, when you do, I'm sure they will tell you that as long as it's been recorded, then when the person buys the piece of property, what will happen is there'll be a title report, because they'll have to have a title report, and it will show any kind of title issues. And what will show up would be this new street light improvement district. So that way people will be on notice when they buy the house. And I think for the marketing of the property, they have to tell them there's going to be a street light improvement district on your taxes. Kind of like a community facilities district. A new entry will show street light improvement district. And that's how it works. And the tax basically goes back to the city. It's not very much for streetlights, different than houses down in the south, to the south, that we'll be talking about in the next few months.
Mayor, may I ask
Yes.
Joel a question? So then, Joel, it's an ongoing tax then, even after it's basically the city's lights at some point, but it's an ongoing tax for those
Yes.
property owners?
Yes, because it's a cost of the electricity for
Gotcha.
forever.
Okay.
It's not
That's
the
what-
installation, right? You said
It's
just,
the energy.
it's the energy.
It's the energy. And the statute says energy only.
So that's forever.
We just haven't had a neighborhood that's a public one for a long time. Councilmember Schroeder and I's neighborhood has one. It's a tax item, pays for the energy, $12 a year or something like that. Can't remember what it is, but all 179 homes that are in there all have that. Goes to help pay for a one-to-one relationship on what the city had to pay up front for the energy.
Thank you.
Okay, I got one question in this is, okay, as you are, as the developer is selling homes in that, let's say up front, they've only sold 50 for the first year. Is that divided by 100 and I'll say energy, estimated energy usage? Is that divided by 50 or is that divided by 178? And the other people that have not bought the homes yet are not being assessed that?
Mayor Wilson, that's a great question. We are kind of dotting our I's and crossing our T's with this process, and we want to make sure that we do it right. So I've been working with Sam Jargis, Development Services Engineer, and between the two of us, we have contacted Town of Florence Public Works Director and Town of Buckeye Public Works Director, and to kind of pick their brains a little bit about their process. And the way that they do it is that the developer pays for the power of the streetlights until that district is fully sustained and functional by the individual 178 owners. So if it takes them 5 years to sell homes, then for 5 years they're paying for that. If they build out the homes in 8 months or whatever it is, then as soon as that district is can function itself, self-sustaining, then that would be then the homeowners pay.
Your Honor. I was just curious, is there any sort of opening here for like an HOA to come in here and be a part of this?
A part of, as far as in what way?
Well, could the developer make an agreement with the HOA? Okay, now we've got 178 lots, we sold 50 or 60 of them. HOA, you now take over this cost of these street lights, and then then accrue it to your HOA costs. And then now the HOA is now the one who is
Mr.
taking
Mayor?
care of this.
Yes.
If I could answer that, Mr. Schroeder. The statute does not allow that. It only allows for the parcel owners to pay. So
But they would pay the HOA.
But that's why it's a tax.
it's not in the statute, so it will be on the taxes. It will be on individual parcels. So the individual will have to pay it. And then if the HOA wants to cover that, like a reduction of community fees, I guess there could be a separate agreement, but it's not under Title 48, not for the creation of the district.
So Emil, how does this work? The city gets an electric bill, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we do. I don't know if it's monthly, but we do get a bill from Salt River Project, SRP, and they have a formula that they use. We have X number of streetlights in the city, some covered by a streetlight district and some not. And, you know, they give us a bill and we pay it.
It's interesting how it's calculated, you know, who's going to be paying what and how much per, it's just an interesting, it's neat. Never thought about it that way.
So it's additional cost to the city without necessarily, with maintenance and overseeing.
Absolutely. So Councilmember Rick Deeks, if you remember, Rick was a big proponent of helping the state law get changed to allow for these so that the folks who were benefiting would be paying for it, not the city.
Growth paying for itself,
Yeah, same thing.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, it's not 100%. Any other questions? Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, presentation, discussion of city council retreat. Right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll kick this off, and we have the items that we are seeking from staff, council direction from you tomorrow night. Tonight's opportunity is to discuss some details: time, location, date, possible topics. Retreat is a short-term for a strategic planning session, and we've had these over the years, where a consultant has come in and helped lead and facilitate a dialogue that helps us think sometimes 5, 10, 15 years down the road on the types of discussions you would like to see come before you over the maybe a council's period of time. Some of the topics that you all have discussed in prior years have included, should we get into utility business? And so that was something we've been having on the council work plan for some time. One of them was updating the building code, updating our neighborhood preservation ordinance, updating and considering maybe an RFP for trash services. Those are the types of things that were discussed in prior years. So we, at the staff level, would just like to have a discussion of, first of all, would you like to have one? And so I'm thinking yes, okay. And so then the question is, where?
Honolulu.
In Honolulu. Okay, we can try that. I'm thinking that probably won't work, but
No, it won't.
so be interested in some thoughts. We've been different places. We've utilized Dolce Vita. The last time we were at the Lutheran Church, one of the locations I think you liked at one point was at the community room. We haven't used it too much because it was brand new at Central Arizona College. It's another room that would be. They would, in the past have said they would donate the time to us, and then considering, budget, food, and facilitator. Would love any one of your thoughts on that. We've had different facilitators. We did the Arizona Town Hall last time, where we went kind of a two-part session. We had a Friday or a Saturday, I can't remember what it was, all day, and we had residents come in. And then the next week after that, that was me, sorry. The next week after that, we went to the CAC and just kind of finalized some of the thoughts that came in from the town hall. So I'll just turn it over to you, however y'all want to jump in on that. So it sounds, let me just start the questions. Yes, we're gonna do it. How much do you want to budget for it? We already have in the budget somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000.
Bryant, do
Yep.
we generally have to rent the space or rent the place?
We've always been able to find someone to either give it to us or donate it. Yeah, so we've never paid for space yet. We have for a little meal and also for the facilitator.
Is there a reason, Bryant, that we couldn't use the chambers?
That's up to you all. That's not a,
Well, except for
We got
sometimes the
the
public
gym.
likes to come. So to meet at the
Yeah.
oh, this chamber,
the-
I'm
no.
thinking
No.
of that chamber.
No, I'm sorry,
Well-
where we're currently in right now.
Yeah, but
There-
it's usually a roundtable discussion
Or
with
for
staff
shoot,
present.
so,
Yeah.
a more friendly
yeah, I
discussion.
thought you were talking about at the Chamber of Commerce. So for us, the retreat idea is actually to get away.
Okay.
And have a chance to sit back, and that's why we tried Dolce Vita. Some city councils even go outside their city. They may go underneath the dam over at SRP or go outside. I'm not suggesting that. But they do, I recommend we do go away and find it. There's a really neat place that SRP has by Saguaro Lake, but
There's always Harrah's.
yeah.
There's always Honolulu.
And that's always all.
Joe, what do we
bingo.
usually pay for a facilitator?
You're good.
Just ballpark.
I'm sorry, yeah, right around that number. There are some that are much more expensive. We've asked, it could be as much as 10,000.
Okay.
I would not. I think we could find somebody, we've had ideas like Evelyn Kasuga of CAC. I don't know if we could ask.
She's fabulous.
You know her? Yeah, we know her well. She's on the CAC board and has been part of Pinal County, and we've never used her yet, but I don't know what she would charge, but we could find out and ask, and see if that's a possibility.
What was the average number that we pay?
Somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000. So the Arizona Town Hall one was a little bit more, but we did get some sponsors on that,
Yeah.
because that was a two-part,
What's our
Work.
budget again? What did you
3,000 to 5,000.
s- Our budget's 3 to
Yeah,
5?
5,000.
And,
I'm sorry, 5,000.
okay.
Yeah.
So I really like the CAC idea because I'd really like the CAC to become more involved in the city and what's happening. And Evelyn she's just excellent on, and I think she would be a good, it's what she does.
And I remember attending that, was what, 2016 was the last one, something? It's been a couple years, but I remember being in the audience for that, and it was really comfortable as an audience member, and I mean, you could hear everything that was going on. It was
It
nice.
was bigger, but not too big. and-
Right.
Yeah, they also have catering services there, which are, I think it's maybe part of the deal. So we'll have to ask about that, but they do a great job.
Have we done Roadhaven?
I don't remember.
We did Dolce Vita, we did CAC
No,
once.
Vita, but
I don't think we've done Roadhaven yet. No.
If
But
we-
I'm sure Steve would help, they have that big room in there.
Yeah, if we did CAC, maybe the EVIT students who do the restaurant stuff could do the lunch or something like that.
Well,
And what Gail said, I'm all for getting CAC to be more involved in the community.
Certainly is a great step for that, towards that.
and I agree with the idea of using something that's more public. And because, going into, Roadhaven or whatever, it becomes a little bit of a hassle, and especially with parking. And it kind of, I'm going to say, discourages the general public from coming in.
We also maybe want to consider, depending on when we have this, a lot, like CAC, I don't think are they doing classes right now?
So they're-
Because of COVID? They might not want to do this because of COVID.
We'll have to check on that. They're closed right now, but they, depending on when you want to do it, that was kind of my next question. What times a day, what day? Is it a Friday you want to do? Have you looked at any dates that are no-go? Sometimes that helps if we,
I also think something else that's kind of important, given COVID, normally I would say if you want to be involved, you can show up, but is there a way to have it broadcasted or streamed or something so people, even if they can't make a comment publicly, is there a way that they can still watch or provide some form of input? I know.
that's one of the benefits of having here. We're already set up for that, but it is a public meeting and.
Right. I mean, I think Roadhaven has that capability in some capacity. CAC very well might. I don't know what they have on their
CAC
campus.
probably does.
I don't think the public is allowed to participate, though, are
So
they?
I would recommend for this, that this be a work session technically. So you set it up as a work session. I wouldn't recommend that. This is your meeting to think about. One of our consultants, he didn't like the word retreat. He said it's an advance. As Patrick Ibarra used to say, it's an advance, thinking out. So it gives you your chance to work on those things. Not to mean they wouldn't be able to watch or be able to, but we've done it always as a work session.
I encourage the idea of being inclusive of the general public, where they are available or not available. I mean, they have the
They
access
can
to
come
it,
and listen, yeah.
so
Yeah.
that they can come and see.
If I may,
Yes.
and not to disagree with the city manager, but I will tell you at the last one, I got in trouble for telling people you cannot talk. And they wanted to talk. They wanted to say something. They wanted the CAC. And I became the bad guy, which that's fine, but they didn't understand that they could not talk. So if there's a preamble that the mayor starts out with, perhaps that takes care of that problem. Because some people, if they show up, they expect to at least have 5 minutes to talk about the items that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because they're there and they want to get that respect for being there. That's just been my experience.
Post a sign at the door. besides,
I can say it very.
say it and
Yeah,
let
I
'em
think
know.
little preamble, I think there was one issue. It was, yeah.
I think for a date and time, it would more depend on if we want to use CAC, what their openings
Okay.
are.
We'll look at that, and are you thinking like like we've done breakfast in the morning and arrive at a certain time in the morning and get going by 9 or 8:30, and then go for a little bit, have a lunch, and then go for a little bit more? Is that?
Is the multi-gen center still under restrictions for capacity restrictions?
I don't think so anymore. I think
We should be able to have.
we should be able to have it at the we could do it at the multi.
Do they still have do they still have facilities to provide meals or catering
Yes.
or whatever?
Yes, we
So-
would be able
so
to.
that-
I'm not sure if do we have a group?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we do, yeah.
MGC would be an
Another-
option with
I
parking
would
and-
say it might not be your second option maybe, or,
Yeah,
and then, Road Haven, we can look at too.
I almost like the multi-gen better than CAC.
Well, I think it potentially even, I don't know if CAC charges us for use of space, but I think the multi-gen center frees up some budget allocations for a better consultant or whatever we might need. We have to be cognizant, we don't have a lot of money to spend, so.
yeah. Why don't we get three bids, you know, the three places just mentioned, and including a lunch, you know, and see who has the best deal.
Or we could go cheap and pack our own lunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
We
But we
can-
don't, Brian, you said that we said we don't
go to
generally pay
We haven't.
for the building or
Yeah, we've
whatever,
never
the-
paid
yeah,
for the
the
building
facilities,
once,
so
and,
we're
and
good.
and I wouldn't get worked up on paying for the building. You're gonna either, yeah, we're talking, you're gonna have pay for the budget for the meal. Your real expense is just whether or not there's the consultant and when
Yeah.
they could do it.
Put the numbers together.
We'll put the numbers together, we'll get that to you. We just need to, talk or get some direction tonight about maybe possible. So you're saying I could look forward to a date that they're available? Do you have any dates out in the next
I was just looking at my calendar,
that are no-goes? Sometimes folks have vacations.
you know, like we have Good Friday, Easter Monday coming up. It doesn't look like maybe until April 10th or 17th or 24th. Those are just the dates I see without holidays involved.
Well,
to
we
give
got to
us
think
some
about
time.
staff too, as far as the day. Do we,
Well, I
whatever
just
staff will be
assumed it was
coming.
on Saturday.
It could be, I think we did town hall on, I can't remember, one of them was on a Friday and one was on a Saturday.
I don't know. if we
Yeah, the
want
town hall, but
Friday on
hasn't
Saturday.
the retreats always been on a Saturday? I thought they were.
As long as I've been here, they have. They've been on,
Yeah,
they've
the
been on a
town
Saturday.
halls and that are different days.
I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, you
I don't think
disagree?
so.
Well-
The word always is strong for me.
Well, I'm just saying. with
I know we
one-
had a retreat on a Monday, I think we did our retreat for Gold Canyon when Mayor Surtee did his first one.
Monday or Wednesday.
Was a
evening.
Monday or Wednesday night.
Mm,
So
we've
retreats
done
could be
them on
whenever
Fridays.
you
Well,
want to have them.
That was a Saturday, as I recall. It was
It could have been a
I think it was a
Saturday.
February 18th, 2018.
get out of here.
19,
Well, that was a
1938.
fascinating meeting.
And that was a,
It was a Saturday morning.
if we could do it a
weren't
Friday though,
Fridays are my
so
preference,
staff doesn't have to.
but
yeah.
Well, you have to ask, if you ask the city manager, would it be helpful to have staff there, and who do you want there? That's
right,
the question.
Yeah.
I think, doesn't that depend on what subjects we decide to talk
Mm-hmm.
about?
Yeah, so I would recommend having your department directors that are connected to or involved in these topics to be there and listen and hear your perspectives, yeah.
So what type of subjects do we want to discuss?
Yep, so topics is next, yeah.
So my thought to the subjects, I mean, as a new council member, I've kind of tossed around some different ideas and I'm kind of formulating a list. I don't necessarily know if that's ready to even be discussed yet, because I don't know what staff is already working on. There's a couple things that I've already worked with them on. What I was gonna maybe suggest is that each council member sets up an individualized meeting or something with you as the mayor and then Bryant or Matt or whomever to figure out what is happening, so we can get a list of what each one of our ideas are first, and then figure out, or is something already being worked on, is it not, is it something that is just not possible right now?
I think we usually do that through emails, don't
So
we?
certainly could do that to me and the mayor through email, and we can kind of funnel those in. One of the things that the consultant does, if we can get one, is they do interviews ahead of time and can also kind of correlate some of those items that get discussed.
Okay.
And then I think when we do the, I'll say, I call him the referee. He's trying to keep us going on task.
Yeah.
What I remember before is some of the telephone calls would come in and they're talking to you, asking you what your interests are, what you want to discuss. And then for me, he turned around and said, well, that one's for a future one. And so that kind of told you what he thought of that on it. I think that's got a lot to do with it. I still, like the idea of having a general idea of what we want ahead of time so that he understands which directions we were going towards. So I don't have a problem with us working together through email and working together, coming up with.
Who do you want to email? Brian?
Brian?
Yeah, send it to me and Matt, and we'll keep you, Mayor. Once we get them all, we can keep them coordinated, and then we'll visit with you, and then go from there.
So-
Joel?
If I may, so you mean emails from each council member to Bryant,
To
Yes.
Bryant.
not to each other, right?
Right.
No,
Okay, that's why
Yeah.
I figured that.
I
No,
think that's
no,
against
no.
open meeting law.
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
could you send us, I don't know, maybe a list from some of the ones in the past to get our brains a-thinking of some of the different things, the issues?
Yep.
When I think
Absolutely.
even it's a good idea, too, to talk about some of the things that have happened and how, even an idea of how long some of it takes. I mean, dark skies has been talked about for a little over a year now, and, so it's good to know what's something easy that we can check off or what might be a little bit longer discussion.
That might be a topic, is to say, hey, when council brings something, talk about the process and
So like a timeline of what.
That might be a
As Bryant
subject.
always says, managing expectations for the public, but managing expectations for the council.
that might be a subject.
Yeah, we usually spend a little bit of time right at the beginning about the work plan and those items that are being worked on, and typically doesn't need to be a big part of it because you want to be able to go forward, right, and talk about the things you want to. So it's good to do a quick review in the past.
Do you remember in the past how many subjects we did talk about?
So that's the hardest part, because because at the end, you want to spend an hour or two maybe just discussing your strategic plan, right?
Right.
Of actionable items and what's going to come to council when. And so if you do too many, you end up on spray. And so I remember numbers in the 5 to 7, not a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, so we'll have to prioritize, that'll be part of it.
Well, and to see if multiple council members have the same issue,
Well, I'm almost
to
wondering,
make it a priority.
would it make sense to kind of departmentalize it instead of trying to talk necessarily about idea, but, what needs to happen under maybe development services or planning and zoning, or what's a parks and rec function or something? Because, many of those ideas are going to fall in. I know we've talked about, policy and code updates and things like that. So would that help maybe?
Haven't we taken the city, each year we've seen at the end of the year, like all of the accomplishments that the council and the city have done together, but we've also seen, what's the budget-wise and what's the city working on this year? Haven't we kind of seen a list of that and collaborated with council on what they want to work on and what the
Yes.
city's already working on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually we refer to it as the work plan.
Yeah,
annual
just-
work plan. And historically.
Right, and we would want
do
to,
more
continue to bring that out so you can see the work plan. And then I think what comes of that is like some major themes like you brought up that would be preferential in terms of what you might work on. So here's some of the things that in terms of, we're going to need some policy guidance on in the next 4 to 5 years. You implemented 6 years ago a 0.2% sales tax for your street and roads. It sneaks up on you, I'm telling you. It will, and it is. What are we going to do with that? What are we thinking of in terms of that effort? 0.2% for public safety retirement system. That's another one. I can't remember which one's first. One's 3 or 4 years away, and one's 4 or 5 years away. overall communication. How do we want to continue to improve our marketing communication? It seems to be a theme. Drainage, for example, how are we going to continue to do or improve? And we've done some great things, and we could give an update from Mike Weaver on that. And so what we try to do is establish what we're doing, what we've been doing, and then how do we want to advance those? I know that one of the major themes in the past was our perception. How do people perceive? We have asked questions of our community about how do they perceive their community. Have we improved in that? How can we? And so that was one of the themes last time. Update your building code, update your neighborhood preservation. Can we do a little bit more with trash service? So that's how those came about. And then we at staff implemented over the next year or two those updates. So so those are some of the ones that we have. Doesn't, mean there has to be even those, but those are something I would say coming up.
So we prioritize and then go from there. We also want to figure out how much time do we want to spend, because obviously some subjects are going to be,
Right, longer than.
do we want a 4-hour one, a 6-hour one, a 3-hour one?
Right. Do you want to spend all day Saturday on it? Or on a Friday?
Friday, yeah.
Friday, okay, Friday. I'm seeing Friday over and over. Okay. So we'll find a Friday that's open from, CAC or Multigen or Road Haven. And we'll spend a majority of the day Friday going through it, and then we can kind of go from there.
Do we have a second in case Friday's not available for like CAC?
A second location?
No, second times, day?
Oh,
Like, if not Friday, Saturday or Monday?
Would
or-
you prefer Friday and have me go look at a different location?
I would prefer that.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
for staff, I think asking staff to give up their weekend is hard to begin with, and
Well, I agree.
If
I'm
the
a-
public
I'm ju-
doesn't
I just threw that out there. I'm just saying, if Friday, if CAC's, yeah, we want you, but, oh, well, we can't do it on a
Right.
Friday.
Right.
Is there another day, like Monday
And
then,
I think you're saying look for
multi-jet?
Multigen, yeah.
or something?
We
So
know
that's
they're
where we would
open.
go. We know
Well-
it's open, yeah. So.
And I would hate to do it during a workday, because then you're taking staff from their day
Yep.
of getting things
Yep.
done. So I
I know we
think-
would appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Friday's the best.
I think, Matt, how are you feeling about this discussion? Jennifer,
I think
anything
we have
else?
enough to move
Joel?
forward, yeah.
I think we've got a bunch of great information. We'll work on the list. We'll send out the list to you all of items that were in prior items, time, date, location, and then that'll help us develop the topics. And then I'll have to keep you posted on the consultant, because I have not reached out yet. I wasn't sure, so we'll have to see if she's even available.
Bryant, how
Yeah.
long does it usually take to plan it out? Does it usually take a couple weeks, or how long?
A few weeks is all,
Yeah.
once we have her on board, or him on board, and then they would set up a time to meet y'all, and we just need to set up a date. It wouldn't take too long. And if we can get maybe a range tomorrow night of dates that are available, that would help us tomorrow night in terms of the direction.
You need a range from us, or?
A range from you tomorrow night when you give us direction, like mid-April to Memorial Day. I don't know what you want to do, but,
I guess that brings up a valid question. Are we looking to do this in April or May, or are we looking over the summer?
I think sooner the better.
I agree.
April to May, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone have objections to trying to get it done in that,
Unless the casino
After
is
Tax Day.
easier.
after tax day? That's right. The day after, huh?
Yeah, the day after, the Friday after. Hey, everybody's getting $1,400 tomorrow. We can save up our money and go to the casino.
Anyone else have any comments? No. No? Okay,
okay.
I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.